Hey y'all, it's me. It's your girl, the real deal. And you know what time it is. How y'all doing, real deal? I'm still trying to get my voice back together, but I hope y'all doing fine as well, okay? Now, we're gonna talk about Tupac Shakur, okay? There are six pieces of evidence for his case. Yes, to his murder case. It's six pieces of evidence. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department released body camera footage showing the arrest of the man accused of ordering the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur. The court also revealed several pieces of evidence prosecutors showed to the grand jury as they sought to indict Dwayne, Jawan, Chief Keith, Keefe D. Davis for Tupac's murder. The Law and Crime Network Internet level breaks down six pieces of the critical evidence. The grand jury review with veteran journalist Kathy Scott, who followed the case since the crime. I've been following uh, this case for a long time. Okay, and they said that Compton gang members who bragged about Tupac Shakur shooting arrest in 1996 murder case, the Tupac Shakur murder arrest could come soon, and rappers killing after search of gang leaders' home. Mm. Tupac Shakur murder body camera shows this what you about to look right now. Police raiding Nevada home connected to rapper killing. Okay. And here you go, right here. We're gonna watch this video. I hope we have a good video. Hope don't nothing happen. Y'all like, share, and subscribe, okay?
Come over here. Hey, man, come over here, all right? Thanks, buddy. Come on over here. Appreciate your cooperation, okay? I'm gonna stand right here in front of the car. Yep, we're going to put it down. I know. Hang on. Put that down. All right.
New body camera video of the arrest of Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the man accused of ordering the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur.
I need to drink water. Yeah, we'll let you get a drink.
We're also getting a look at
I first shot at you. Big boy in the head. I thought he was dead. Damn, dead.
and a reporter who's covered Tupac's murder weighs in on why it took 27 years to make an arrest, what the murder charge would have meant to the legendary rapper's mother.
I think to see justice.
Welcome to Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast. I'm Anjanette Levy. We are taking a look at 6 critical pieces of evidence that the grand jury in the case of Dwayne Keefe D. Davis saw as they indicted him. And we're also getting a closer look at body camera footage from the arrest of Dwayne Keefe D. Davis approached him last Friday. Take a look.
Max Cushion, Max Protection. Say hello to the Ghost Max.
Let's get this commercial out of here. He ain't have to kill him, man.
Hey, Keith, Metro Police. Come over here. Hey, Metro Police. Come over here, all right? Thanks, buddy.
Have a little bit of notification of it. You know, it was when the search warrant was done that the world knew that this might happen. So it was no surprise, but very delatedly. No surprise, but very belatedly.
Sure. And that's because it wasn't a surprise because of the search warrant, of course, but also the fact that Keefe D had been making statements about this publicly for some time. He had written a book, Compton Street Legend, and then, of course, had granted a number of interviews, including to BET and to some YouTube channels.
Yeah, you know, as one cop once told me, as you crooks are stupid, that's why they get caught, and you can't keep people from themselves. But I don't know if he thought there there was a statute of limitations that had expired, you know, but it I think he must have thought all this time had gone by, and oh, I was just, what did he call himself? He called himself a witness. Dude, you're in the car, you provided the gun. You went, everybody in that car had the intent to go hurt Tupac. Tupac as payback for the beatdown earlier at the MGM Grand. So for some reason he thought he was just bragging on where he was and what he did, and thought, you know, only one person would be responsible when everybody in the car was responsible. But you know, he was a street gang, you know, member, so he obviously wasn't up on the law, and he got great evidence that the police department could finally put this to bed. It made it real easy. It's a slam dunk.
What was it like covering that case? Because, you know, to hear the people on the scene that night tell it, you know, there was an entourage there. We know about the women in the other vehicle who were kind of yelling at Tupac, and they were going to go to the club with him and Suge Knight. You know, they said nobody's talking, nobody saw anything, even though there's a bunch of people there. And Suge Knight, we know from Keefe D, looked him straight in the eyes and saw him. At least that's what Keefe D says. So covering this case as a reporter, did you sense frustration? Were you frustrated at times?
Well, the police department clearly did not appear to want to solve the crime, and they held a news conference. All the sports writers were in town for the Bruce Seldon Mike Tyson fight, which is why Tupac was in town. And so they held a news conference, and all those reporters were there. So there were a ton of reporters in town, but they at that conference. But police did not open it to questions, and I frankly think they thought it would go away. And they, you know, they weren't answering reporters' calls. They talked to me because I was a local reporter, but they wouldn't talk to out-of-town reporters. So, but the thing in about Compton and not talking, and you know, there's something called street justice. The next day, the Bloods went out and got into a shooting match and did all kinds of drive-by shootings. And one of the guys in the car, when Tupac was shot, he was shot on the streets of Compton a day or two later during that bloodbath. And you know, the cops call that 2-for-1. You know, you shot me, then I'm going to shoot you. But so that could be part of it, why witnesses and stuff weren't talking, because they were going to take care of it themselves. And then Orlando was running all over the west side, south central, and bragging, you know, I capped Tupac. And then 6 days later, when Tupac died, he stopped talking. And then he lawyered up with the same lawyer his uncle now has. So you don't lawyer up unless you think you've committed a crime.
Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl is back, starting at $13.99.
Did I hear you right that you said that you felt that the police did not want to solve this? They wanted it to go away?
Oh, I was told that. Yeah. And you know, as a crime, I was on the beat. I had the police beat at the Las Vegas Sun. So, you know, I checked in every day with homicide and all the other things, you know, related to crime that I covered. And so they knew me, you know, we were friendly. And I was told by a higher up that a big trial like that with all kinds of gangbangers coming in town and all the hip hop crowd, that it would be bad for tourism. And that was during the push. Remember back in, I don't know if you remember, but back in the 90s, early 90s, mid 90s, there was a big push to try to turn Vegas into a family destination, and there's big PR.
I do remember that. Yes.
Yeah. And so that was in the middle of the family destination. It was poor timing for that. And so they just simply, weren't answering questions, weren't providing anything, anything new for anybody. They appeared to not be covering the crime. Compton PD arrested, but they didn't arrest. They took they took Orlando Anderson, they detained him, and they raided Keefe D's house during a gang raid roundup, and they found a Glock in the house. Well, Tupac was shot with a Glock. And what did they find in Keefe D's house now? 40 caliber, uh, bullets that match, that don't match, but go into a Glock. So they've got circumstantial evidence on Keefe, and they also have hard evidence. But part of the reason today they're doing it is because there's a new sheriff in town. He got elected last year, and also with Keefe D coming out with idiotically coming out with the book where he admits being in the car. They knew he was in the car, police did, because of Compton PD intelligence they shared. So they knew that, but that was just from the cops. To have it as hard evidence now makes it much easier to prosecute, although witnesses and stuff, it's been so long, almost 30 years, that's tough to do. So he put in a book, that's hard evidence, that that he did it. I would imagine someone tipped off the police that there was this book out there, because I don't think they go around, looking at books when they come out, written by gangbangers.
One person who did not live to see the arrest in Tupac Shakur's murder, his mother, Afeni Shakur. How would she have viewed the arrest of Keefe D?
I think it would have been a big moment for her to see justice. But she was, when asked several times, I talked to her as well, but when asked, she says, I'm not about the crime, I'm about who he was. But this, of course, would have been a big moment for her. But, she kept his legacy alive, and in a very respectful way. And, she represented herself in court, for when she was in her 20s for murder, no attorney, and she beat it. And this was a very strong woman with a strong foundation. And I think that's how she survived losing her only son. But, he lives on in his music, and I think that's how she looked at it. But, rest in peace for her, and wherever she is, maybe she does know.
Where do you see this case going next? The case against Keefe D. Do you think this goes to trial? Do you think he tries to plead out? What do you see happening? Is it just too early to tell?
Well, I thought right off the bat, the way they held that huge and the biggest news conference short of the mass killing in Vegas, it's the biggest one they've ever had. And so I thought, oh, they're going to take this all the way. And then I was on a podcast recently with a former homicide cop, not the Tupac team, but he was a homicide cop, and I knew him back in the day. And he said that he's talked to homicide and stuff, and the district attorney's office, and he said they're going to want to early on try to plead this out, because he's looking at murder one, which is life. So they could plead him down to 30, 25 years. But their thing is they've got such good goods on him. And he wanted to plead out a few years earlier. So that's their goal, I think. So we're going to see a conviction, but I think it's going to be by him getting a queen for a day, give up the goods, and then take a lesser charge and go to prison for a couple of decades. He's 60 years old. I'd hate to see him get 15 years and get out on 8 on good time. So hopefully he'll get a big sentence, so he'll be off the street for the rest of his life.
Well, Kathy Scott, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And we hope to talk to you again about this. It's a really interesting case, two actually very sad cases.
It is very sad. It was really sad. So it's nice to see justice for, for Tupac. I wish his mom were here for it. But and thank you for covering it too. Getting the word out. So, and thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And that's it for this edition of Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast. You can listen to and download Sidebar on Apple, Spotify, Google, and wherever else you get your podcasts. And of course, you can always watch it on Law and Crime's YouTube channel. I'm Anjanette Levy, and we will see you next time.
Did somebody say pancake party?
Make sleepovers Crust Easy.
So how did you know Tupac and Suge was in the black BMW?
He was hanging out the window.
Okay, y'all, here we go.
He was hanging out the window.
Tupac?
Yeah.
What was he doing?
He had half his body out the window. Yeah. Just, that Bay Area.
Dwayne, Keefe D. Davis's own words, eyewitnesses and a gang expert led a grand jury to indict Keefe D. for Tupac Shakur's murder after 27 years. We have testimony from witnesses who told the story of what happened that night. Thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Anjanette Levy. We are learning more details about what witnesses told a grand jury in Las Vegas as they met to investigate the murder of Tupac Shakur. That grand jury met 4 times between July and August. A number of people testified about Keefe D's involvement in Tupac Shakur's murder. Others testified about what they saw that night or heard about what happened from those who were involved. Tupac Shakur was shot on September 7th, 1996 in Las Vegas. He died 6 days later on September 13th. Tupac and Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight went to the Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand with other people. Surveillance cameras recorded them at the casino. Then they encountered Orlando Anderson, a member of the Southside Compton Crips. Tupac, Suge Knight, and others jumped Anderson. Why? A grand jury witness, Devonta Lee, said it was payback for Anderson and other members of the Southside Compton Crips beating up members of the Mob Piru Bloods in California earlier that month and stealing a Death Row Records chain from this man, Trayvon Lane. Lane was a Blood and a friend of Suge Knight. Lee said Suge Knight gave those chains to people and that taking that chain was, quote, like taking the crown.
Wow.
The grand jury watched an interview of Keefe D with The Art of Dialogue, where Keefe D said he knew about that incident involving the chain.
That was a chain. I wouldn't wear that. I wouldn't have put that on my neck.
So how you know the chain was cheap?
Because I seen it.
How you seen it?
The homies had it. We came back from the mall.
Surveillance video shows Orlando Anderson at the MGM Grand. Another witness testified that Anderson wanted to fight Tupac folded. The man who took this photo told the grand jurors he snapped it with a camera in his car as he was picking up food. It's the last photo of Tupac Shakur before the shooting. Moments later, shots were fired from a white Cadillac. In that Cadillac, driver Terrence Brown, and backseat passengers DeAndre Big Dre Smith and Orlando Anderson. Keefe D was in the front seat. A witness testified Keefe D was a South Compton Crips original gangster, or OG, a shot caller, who dealt drugs and had a lot of money. Keefe D recalled the shooting.
Orlando is the shooter. He's the known shooter. I mean, everybody know Orlando Anderson was a shooter. So Dre got cold feet. He didn't want to do it. He gave the gun to Orlando, and Orlando shot Tupac and Suge.
Yeah, he did his thing, yeah. Suge just ducked his head, and the first bullet went in his head, then the next one's hit him. It was like he was doing a breakdance trying to jump in the back seat or something. Yeah. Like, damn. Yeah,
What?
What the?
So
Looked like he was trying to jump in the, but it was, the bullets was in his.
Shooting Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight. The roommate said Smith told him that Orlando Anderson simply couldn't reach across him to take the shot. A rapper in Tupac and Suge's caravan told the grand jury he found Tupac in the passenger seat of the BMW. He said Tupac told him, "Get on the ground. They're going to shoot you."
Recordings.
wow.
Just
Did y'all see that? All right now. Keefe, I don't know about Keefe. Keefe is saying should did.
The rapper said Tupac was referring to police who had arrived on the scene. Crime scene photos from that night show the damage. Bullet hole. 40 caliber shell street. One round field erupted in Compton, California in retaliation for the shooting of Tupac Shakur. A retired Compton police gang expert told the grand jury it was called the 10-Day War. The expert said Southside Compton Crips and the Mob Piru Bloods basically controlled different parts of Compton. Tupac Shakur died 6 days after he
Vegas. That was a different type of magnitude for the rap world.
missed the whole live. Please don't tell me that. Please don't tell me that they had y'all not watching this live. I'm gonna sue me somebody.